Fanatics is exactly what we said they would be. Knew this was going to change the hobby. Everybody thought, oh, don't worry, man. Hobby's going to be great. Fanatics is going to 10x it. Everybody's going to make money. As the water rises, everybody goes up. A lot of eggs getting cracked. Latest news on Fanatics leaking out some, requirements. Basically, the line I'm taking away from this that I want to make this video on is in-person breaking. No more promoting online breaking or selling spots on breaks without permission from Topps Fanatics. That's huge, man. That's huge. It's interesting. Everybody's talking about how it's going to put breakers out of business, how it's put local card stores out of business, how it's changing the landscape. Local card stores going out of business, but that's just one piece in the pie. In fact, this might bring me to something that will replace local card stores, and that is, and not a brand new idea, something that's been discussed about before in the past, is a co-op, a cooperative business entity for the hobby. And I'm just spitballing here right now. Okay, I'm throwing up some ideas. Now, I will tell you, I did run this by a couple of friends of mine, and one friend who actually was very bullish on this, I'm going to go ahead and drop his name, was Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. So, Chris, I'm going to tag you in this video, and you're going to say, dude, we need to run with this idea. And we, just meaning you. You can do it with whoever you want to or other people. And I actually think something should be regionalized. But here's the loose idea. Local card stores, for the most part, they have been taking on the burden of buying product, getting product out, and they make a margin or a profit off that product, selling to people in the community. Now, here's my issue with that. Every local card store has a little wonderful community, a niche of people who support that card store, kind of like alcoholics at a bar. And I'm just using that as an analogy. And sometimes you go through your regulars after a while, but you don't really grow. That doesn't scale very well. You don't have the same personal relationship in a card store as you do with each person. And it's mainly because it's one person running. It's kind of a kingdom, a feudalism system, right? One king and all the servants coming and supporting the system. What if you change that around? What if you modernize that? What if instead you create entities, and I'd say, I don't know, a little business entity that is co-owned by several collectors in a certain community or across a geographic location, right? And that individual with other individuals in that community would do things for the card community. For example, they would negotiate with Topps or Panini or Leaf to buy cases, like very much like a local card store does today. They give them their estimates on how many boxes they'd want. They'd be buying for their community of people in the community. Now, a couple ways you can build the community. You could have major investors who buy an ownership stake, who invest cash into the co-op, and you could have part-time investors. Let me give you another good example here. Here's a perfect one. This is something I've been loving this idea. Imagine if your local card store was allocated 10 cases of a great product. And you could, when the allocations are allotted and you know the product's coming, you could buy part of those 10 cases. He would send out a notice to, hey, all members, if you'd like to buy in these 10 cases of X product, please go ahead and submit your request. And then you could contribute $1,000, $500, $50, whatever it is, and you're buying shares into that product. And then when that product comes in, you own that. Maybe you own one case of it. Maybe you own one box of it. Maybe you own a couple packs of it, but that's yours. And they have a record of it. You're a co-owner and you made this much investment and you bought it at the allocated price. So again, I'm using the wrong numbers here. Again, I'm thinking real quickly, but say 100 cases, each case is $1,000. So on day one, you make a $2,000 investment. You ultimately own 2% of those 100 cases, or you own 2 cases. So now when you come to your local co-op and you're with your kids, you come in and go, you know what? I'm going to take out of my private stash, very much like your own wine, right? I'm going to take a bottle out. I'd like to take a box out of the 2 cases that I own. I'd like to rip that with my son today on the site, right? Or I'd like to have it shipped to me and rip it at home, right? It's my personal thing. Meanwhile, as that case price changes, as it changes in the market, now it's no longer $1,000. Maybe it's $1,500 now. You could sell off your position in that case to any other co-op member in the co-op, right? And follow me. I'm not trying to do fractionalization. I'm basically saying this gives you the right to buy into a product early on release. If it does well and you didn't want to open it, you could sell your position to other people in the co-op as it goes up or down, right? It's all co-op managed, right? So people in the community, and the community can be loose. It could be virtual. I'm not saying it has to be specifically to local, but the idea here is that we make cooperative ownership where we have shared risk in the product. Another example here, managing the channel. When the distributor Fanatics company says, hey, You want to get 5 cases of that wonderful National Treasures. And guys, I know Fanatics does not sell National Treasures, but I'm just giving you this as an example. You want to get 5 cases of that phenomenal National Treasures? I need you to take a couple, 10 cases of Big League from me, right? And you would negotiate out with Fanatics. Hey, we're going to pay this much and that much, but you'd make a commitment and you'd have it over the year. You make these yearly commitments, and then you go back to your member base and you could raise that money. You could do fundraisers or sell spots or whatever it might be. Your control of that in person under your rules, your regulations. And I think this would all be approved by Fanatics, right? Again, the idea here, let's really empower the collecting experience. And the reason I say experience is that if you get a bunch of guys, not one guy, not one person who owns a store, but a bunch of them, a community of people who are involved and invested in the sport. Maybe there's a bunch of guys who are hockey guys. Maybe there's a bunch that are all sports. They're going to get other people involved in their fantasy leagues, in their hockey leagues, in their soccer intramurals, whatever things they're doing. If they're a cooperative owner in that, and here's where I think this even gets better, dude. Make the location no longer a dusty old card store. I think I think it becomes a rec center. Now I know this is a bigger investment, but I've been to it in the travel sports with my kids. They have these massive complexes, right, where they have parties for kids. They have soccer games, basketball games, batting cages, whatever it is. But they're major sports complexes. But the sports complex was also investing in collectibles. Think about this. You've got a venue where you've got people coming in all the time, participating in sports. You could have athletes doing autograph signature signings. You could be selling product doing openings, birthday parties, collaborations, all in the same facility. But it's no longer a local card store, dusty and run by 5 people, even the most beautiful card store who just, and I'm going to say this real quickly. I don't want to come the wrong way, but one thing I will say is that as a white man, it's easy to walk in almost any card store and talk about cards. It's not that way for everybody else. But if you could go into a sporting complex, they're very diverse. And there's a lot of conversation, there's engagement, there's moms involved, there's daughters involved, there's sons involved. I'm telling you guys, the crossover, the future is to collaborate and bring sports, memorabilia, and collectability together in a community where we all share and learn and can profit, right? You can still have the excitement, the chase. Hey, one community is chasing one product. And here's another cool thing, right? If you do this on a national level, almost like a franchise level, you could also trade product with each other. Like, hey, when you open up some really cool Ohio State, hits, you send them over to the guys in the Ohio State community regional area, right? And I get the nice ones for, I don't know, North Carolina and Duke, Virginia, whatever in the ACC. But man, this is just a few me spitballing some ideas. There's so many other things. You can do breaks. You could do local vaulting, right? You could have a what's it called, a co-op selling account on eBay, co-op ComC account. You could have groups submitting, right, from your co-op. Your organization could do the submitting for you for subbing, for grading. It just really, I think if you take away anything, I want I want the changes that are coming to empower us, the collector, to do more, right? And with us, we need to have more of a direct relationship, and we have the ability, I think, in this model with the manufacturer, really talking to them instead of the dark, cigar-filled rooms and musty middlemen and channel guys telling me how great the hobby is. Makes sense. Like, comment, subscribe. I love your feedback. And this is a spitball idea. I'd love to see somebody run with it, man. I'd love to see many people run with it. Okay, I'd love to be part of it. I'd love your feedback, criticism, comments, taxes. What do we do with taxes, right? Shares. Maybe you sell shares in the co-op and people buy shares in the share. I don't know. You tell me, guys.